Check your ego at the door. Your ego is not your amigo. Your ego will leave you broke-o. That's some real shit.
Tagging up the mouse, we do the mouse dog. Got a wretched in my coat, got a girl doing coke. We drink up and we smoke, but she always do the most. It kinda turned me on the way she licking on my stones.
So what's up, guys? This week I wanted to talk to you guys about ego. And ego is one of those things that we all have it, and you have to identify it, and you have to be real with yourself. Because there's so many people, myself included, at a time where your ego is all the way up here and your bank account is all the way down here, and that doesn't add up. And there's nothing wrong with that. You should move as you are. You should move as confident as you are as an individual. But check your ego at the door. And I'll tell you how you check your ego. And I gotta tell you two stories. And we're gonna back up a little bit. I used to go to school. It was in 2008. I went to school in Baltimore, Maryland. I moved out there with my uncle and my aunt. And at the time, my uncle owned a swimming pool business. And you know, if you're familiar with Baltimore, Maryland, it's not pool season all year round. So that business, it was a great business. There was plenty of pools in the area. He did his research. He owned the company, but that business ended up going out of business. Instead of retracting and going to find employment, my uncle, he came home with a cab. And I remember me and my cousin was cutting his ass. I ain't gonna say what we were saying, but we cut his ass. And fast forward 6 years ago, I was working overnight security at Best Buy. I was working 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I'm making $14.47 an hour. And a person from my old high school, my first high school, walks into my job. And he said two things that night that stuck with me and made me really want to, I was like, I got to check my ego. The first thing he said was that he was driving Uber. Now, you got to understand, this is Uber before Uber really is Uber. Like, this is around the time when people don't even want to put their credit cards on the Uber app because they feel like it's fraud, or I don't want to get in a car with a stranger. Mind you, been riding in cabs and poppy cabs your whole life. But anyway, this is around that time. And he comes into the job, he says two things. He's like, yo, number one, he's making $300-400 a day driving a cab. And number two, he was paying someone $400 a week to rent the car. I said, wait, back up. I was making, if you add up what I just told you, what I was making hourly, that adds up to about $30,000 annually. And then you got to understand the government is going to take 30 to 40% of that. So I was really coming home with like 22 racks for the year. That is crazy. I said, I got to check my ego immediately. I say, I could go from making 30,000 to 80,000 just driving alone. And I said, I had a car that I couldn't afford at the time. I said, I could turn this liability into an asset. Once I started driving, my income jumped dramatically. And then I thought, hey, if I got 10 of these cars, because I already know the game, people don't have $1,000 in savings. I sat in a seminar because I was a part of that percentage where people didn't have $1,000 in savings. And I remember sitting there and I remember vividly knowing I was a part of that. So I didn't even have the money to get started for the license. I had to not pay my bills for 30 days to basically get the license just to get started. You know, and even when Uber started to decline, when like too many people started to check their ego and wanted to become Uber drivers and didn't care what anyone had to say, they started messing the game up. Inflation. And in a matter of 3 years, I was able to scale from $30,000 to, damn, I remember when I first made six figures, or when I first generated six figures. Then I was like, damn, I did over 200. And this is in a span from 2016 to 2019. That's like 3 years. That's why if you see on my stories, I count down the days. I got 700 days left. 700 some odd days left on this last run. I checked the ego twice. I checked my ego when it was time to go drive that cab, and I checked my ego when I started to make that money. I didn't say, yo, I'm too good for a cab, I can't do this, or I'm making money off the fees. No, I didn't do none of that. I stayed down and I doubled down on my goals. You understand? So check your ego at the door. Your ego is not your amigo. Your ego will leave you Broco. That's some real shit. Free game.